Hello, everyone. Welcome, Sideline Brief Podcast, one episode 226. We got a little bit of NFL news for you. Free agency is still going on. A couple of signings happened between now and Monday. Plus, we got a big trade that dropped yesterday. We'll break it down for you guys to give you our thoughts and our grades on that trade. Plus, we got NFC East. We're gonna, recap this division's season and let you guys know about, their offseason so far, what moves or what potential draft picks they can make to improve their teams, improve their odds to, make it back to the NFC Championship for two of the teams in this division, and the other two teams maybe get back to relevancy. So, all that being said, guys, stay tuned. Let's start with the news. Let's start with the big trade. One of the teams in AFC who is having a fire sale right now decided to trade one of their best remaining offensive weapons. That would be Jalen Waddle of the Miami Dolphins heading to the Denver Broncos. I believe it was for a first this year and a third and a fourth this year. So Broncos paying a pretty steep price, in my opinion, for Jalen Waddle, who, number one caliber receiver when he is healthy. Start with you, Lawrence. What do you feel about this trade? What grades would you give out for the Dolphins and the Broncos?
Overall, if the trade works out, for instance, he doesn't get hurt and he stays healthy the whole season, I honestly don't think it's a bad. I mean, it's bad. It's a first round pick, but it's also the very end of the first round because what is it? It's like a 30th or 29th pick because they're in the championship game. So, I mean, it's the very end, so it's almost nearly a second round pick, but it's also giving up the extra third, so then it's basically like back-to-back rounds picks that you're giving up. But I mean, it might be a little bit, it might be a little bit too much. But I mean, at least you know what you're getting in Waddle, and it's a consistent threat to go for your quarterback outside of Sanders. But Cortland Sutton. Sorry, but. Cortland Sutton, they said, was really good against the zone. So I'm pretty sure that's kind of what Waddle's been doing was Purdue is zone being across the middle.
Yeah, so speedster definitely can get open in zone defense. Jacob, what are your thoughts on the trade?
Yeah, Lawrence said it pretty well. I agree. Premium player, they gave up a lot of premium picks for it. I mean, a first-round pick, still a first-round pick. Yeah, it's 30. But like you said, too, Lawrence, like a third and a fourth. I mean, that's three, top 120 picks right there. So definitely a lot of value going back to the Dolphins for getting rid of probably the best player left on their roster. The one thing I will kind of think about here is how does Malik Willis react to this? I mean, I'm going to go down there and sign first chance at, being a starter, and then immediately they trade your best weapon, and now your number one receiver is like Malik Washington. So I kind of feel bad for Malik Willis. It makes sense for the Dolphins. It looks like they're kind of rebuilding. It came out today they're not trying to trade Achan. So I don't know I don't know what their plan is. They have new GM, new coach, obviously. So sounds like they're tearing it down. And honestly, even if they weren't shopping him, like that's one of those deals where if they were like, you know what, we're comfortable hanging on to him, and the Broncos, put down a first, third, and fourth, and they kind of looked at each other like, shoot, bros, like we might have to just take this one and move on and hope we can replace him. Dolphins pick like I think 11th in the draft, so they were right in that range for Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Malachi Lemon, one of those wide receivers. If that's the plan that they wanted to go, and then pivot to what you originally wanted to do with that pick with the 30th pick. And there's obviously some more depth too, so definitely one of the teams that needs a whole lot of things. So trade makes sense for both sides. Denver's obviously thinking that this is a trade that can get them, obviously to the Super Bowl and potentially win the Super Bowl because they're in a win now focus. So it'll be interesting to see how it pays out. Definitely a premium price, but I think Jalen Waddle is going to fit really well with Sean Payton.
Yeah, I think that team. Oh, go ahead, Lawrence.
I was going to say one more thing to add is it puts the Dolphins having 2 first-round picks, which I think there's 5 teams in the league this year with 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's quite a few.
So, I mean, it's good for the Dolphins because, like we're saying, they're going to be rebuilding for the future. So then, if they're rebuilding for the future, they're part of the sweepstakes with all these other teams. I think it's the Browns, Jets. Ooh, I don't know the other two. I know it's Brown and Jets because they're both kind of bad. It's probably the
Chiefs.
Rams. Oh, and Chiefs.
They traded the last one to the Chiefs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Oh yeah, Cowboys. Cowboys had 3 until they traded what? They traded one for Quinnen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Dolphins having fire sale. They also have a lot of dead caps, so rookie controllable contracts make sense for them at this point. So all they gotta do is hit on the draft picks, like you said, Jacob. New general manager, new coach. It's their chance to kind of build this new iteration of the Dolphins. Moving on from McDaniels. So we'll see. It sucks for Malik Willis. He might just get beat to high hell this year, but hey, you probably hopefully asked the right questions beforehand before you signed that big deal, because he had many suitors. So it's not like the Dolphins was his only choice. So maybe they pitched a plan to him so that this offense will look way better after the draft. So we'll have to see about that. But I believe Achane probably will be had if you give them a similar package. I don't see why you wouldn't trade Achane. Like, you can get a first, a third, and a fourth again. Then why wouldn't you do it? That's one less guy you got to pay. Achane is going to be at least what are we thinking? 12, 13 million per year?
13, yeah.
So yeah, it only makes sense. In terms of news, Cam Taylor-Britt, former Bengal defensive back, he was kind of in and out the lineup last year for numerous reasons, injuries, poor performance. Really, his play was up and down. His whole tenure in Cincinnati had some bright spots, but then also at times it's just like, why is this guy on the team? So the pipeline from Cincy to Indy, it continues. He signs there. What was the other big move I wanted to say? Hollywood Brown going to the Eagles. Eagles kind of buffing up that wide receiver room, and while also buffing up the backup quarterback room. Lawrence, your Panthers are trading Dalton there to back up Hurts. Seems like Tanner McKee, right, is probably maybe on the move as well. So any thoughts, Lawrence, on that?
Tanner McKee's probably signed, what do you call it, the UFL? Trying to get with the UFL this year so he can show his talents, because he didn't look bad in the Eagles. So to kind of move off pretty quick is a little wild, because he never really played at all. He doesn't need to, because Hurts is pretty much, for the most part, not really injured to where it's causing you too much stress. It might be a game or two, but that's just wear and tear. But I don't know. I kind of thought when he played with the Panthers, it kind of saw that the arm just wasn't there, because the Bills game was a disaster. And part of the matter was the Bills knew they just stop run and Rico Dowdle can't go at the middle. Then this old man has to beat us with his arm, and he just can't. It doesn't have the zing and the zip and the oof as it once did. And I think he got picked off like 2 or 3 times. So, and he fumbled once. I know that.
Yeah, it's definitely not the gunslinger that he was back in Cincinnati. His first couple 6-7 years there. So I agree with you there. Jacob, any thoughts here on both moves?
Yeah, it makes sense. Going to the Eagles, it seems like they just needed a cheap backup, and I do think the guy that forced that fumble in that game was AJ Epinesa of the Bills, who does today sign with the Browns, 1 year, $5 million. Former second round pick, never really panned out as like an elite guy, was always a solid rotational guy. So going to join that lethal Cleveland D line. So I wish him luck in his future.
Mm-hmm. Well, Markel's
Right.
gone. Oh, there he goes.
I disconnected.
NFC East.
Let me pull it back up. Jacob, did you say anything about Panthers acquiring
Yeah.
Dalton?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Moving on, Logan Wilson announced his retirement. 1 year with the Cowboys after we traded him at the trade deadline. Big part of the Super Bowl run and the AFC Championship game run. Sad to see him retire before 30. He probably does have another year, but I doubt at this point, athleticism's wane. Probably just doesn't move like he used to. So I know it makes sense to call it a little bit early if he doesn't really have any suitors. And then I think that's it. So we can move on to the NFC East. Eagles winning this division, but not making it out of the first round. Probably pissed off a lot of their fan base, as Eagles fans are very easily frustrated. But I think this division will be a lot more competitive than it was last season. We had high hopes for the Commanders last season, but things didn't turn out good. The Cowboys, after moving off of Michael Parsons, we kind of foresaw that turning into a shit show, as most seasons of the Cowboys turn out to be. And then the Giants, they've kind of been in turmoil ever since they let go of Saquon. So no surprises there. But hey, who knows? We might see some turnaround, especially at the bottom of the division. But let's start at the top. The Eagles, got some decisions to make in terms of, do you pay Jalen Carter? Do you move him before the draft? What is the appetite for moving Jalen Carter? We don't know, but we heard the rumbles. They already paid their other D tackle what Jordan Davis paid him, a boatload of money. Still got the A.J. Brown fiasco going on. So lots and lots of still drama in Philly. Jacob, how would you grade, the Eagles season this past year, and what moves do you see them still making this offseason?
We're talking about the Super Bowl champions going into the season, the defending champions. This team was so discombobulated and just ass. For a team with as much talent as they have, and I'm not trying to be a hater right now, but like with that much talent, they're telling me they lost 6 games. Like, it's absolutely insane. This was a terrible version of the recent Eagles that we have seen, and they were the best team in this division by far, which is still crazy and just saying something about how piss poor this division was this year. But they need to figure it out. They need to figure out the culture thing. They need to figure out the coaching staff and who's calling plays. Like, there's just always so much drama. I really do think that A.J. Brown leaving could be an addition by subtraction, because you could have Devontae Smith step up and be the number one, and kind of go back to the whole ground and pound with Saquon and Hurts. Hurts was banged up this past year. That probably attributed to him playing so terribly at some certain spots. But yeah, the Eagles are just one of those teams that, kind of like the Chiefs, that they could play ugly and still win. So that they're good enough to be competitive every single year. And again, they're only 1 year removed from being the Super Bowl champions, and they still have a lot of those names still on their team.
Yeah, Lawrence, thoughts on the Eagles season? What would you grade it?
Yeah, so for the Eagles, like, it's like a B, maybe a B minus, maybe a C. It's ranging. It's like different viewpoints you can get on it. One of the biggest things for them would be the fact that I just hear myself in the background. My bad. The Eagles didn't return on any of their investment. I think they can't trade A.J. Brown until, I think it's like June 1st, July 1st,
Yeah.
June 1st. So they lose all their money if they do that way. So they can't just trade. They can't trade him or do anything with him before. So it kind of puts their whole entire plan in like this like perplexed situation. They can't go draft a new wide receiver this draft without telling A.J. Brown your shit's basically cooked. You're going to get traded June 1st. But then if I don't, who am I? And if I want to trade him, I don't have like an immediate, I would say, yam to my sauce to go with Smith. Then you got to rely on the ground and pound, which is why you went out and got Tank Bigsby. So that way, like as his name says, he's going to run in there like a tank, so Saquon doesn't have to do those certain type of plays. And yeah, you gotta be like willing to go all in. I think the whole problem with the A.J. Brown thing is it's like you're tipping your toe into the idea of, yeah, we're gonna have some weapons on the offensive side and we're gonna go guns blazing, but then you come to the term like, okay, but if I do that, I kind of leave myself very open to the fact that if I can go 3-and-out really quick, and then it adds up over time on my, I would say it's a pretty good defense, but it's also a little bit more heavy of a defense. So if teams get in a rhythm and flow, and they're swiftly moving up that field, kind of wears you down, and those 3-and-outs really add up.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the Eagles do. I like what they have on defense, but like you said, Lawrence, they kind of a little too heavy on defense. So that's why I'm wondering, like, do they actually move off of Jalen Carter? Like, you have Jordan Davis, you have Jahad Campbell, you have Nolan Smith Jr. Like, they got enough pieces. They got Zach Bond. Like, they have enough pieces where they don't need to be greedy and paying two of the premier defensive tackles, a boatload of money. So I think I get a 50-50 chance of them moving both A.J. Brown and Jalen Carter. I don't know how you guys feel. I think at least one of those guys has to move just for like cap purposes. I feel like they can't keep them both. But I think at least one of them have to get moved. What do you guys think?
I bet you it's going to be A.J. Brown more so because I think the coach is a little bit more defensive, and that's probably where the problem with the offensive, but who's calling the offense comes into play is that's not his that's not his mantra. That's not his goal. His goal is to walk out there with one of the best defenses every week, and have a offense that can. I want to see smash mouth. I think you'd rather just play smash mouth because that's kind of how defensive coaches are. They just like the run game. So that's probably where he would like to line up.
Old school football. What does Carter go for? I think they definitely trade Brown. Lawrence is probably right. It's probably post June 1st, so they save on the dead cap. But I'm curious, if you trade Carter, who I think is probably like a top 3 defensive tackle in this league right now, like what's the compensation back for him?
You're teeter-tottering on a 1 and 2. Like
I agree.
If Waddle can go for a 1, this man is younger than Waddle.
Quinnen Williams?
Yeah, Quinnen Williams went for a 1. That's true too. Yeah, he's definitely going for a 1. And then because Waddle went for a 1 and 3, you're pairing him with a 3 or a 4-round pick.
Yeah,
and possibly players.
Yeah, Quinnen Williams went for a 1 and a 2 because the Cowboys don't have a second this year. So, like, that's a lot. And Quinnen Williams is a beast, also a great player. But, like, Jalen Carter is young, hasn't been paid yet. Like, I could see a team like the Titans, or it's not their first-round pick, but, like, a team that's willing to kind of overpay for a guy that, like, would instantly be the best player on their defense.
I mean, hell, if the Titans gave them back-to-back second-round picks like the Panthers were given, you could just see it too good to be true, and not look into what you probably could get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you probably have to very least a 1 and a player, and it has to be like a starter level player. You can't just throw in someone as like fodder. Like, like for example, I don't think Cincinnati would do it, but like Cincinnati's case, probably like a 1 this year, which would be 10 plus maybe last year's first rounder who was Shamar Stewart, and plus might have thrown in like a 3rd or a 4th. Yeah, it would have to be a premium price. Jalen Carter is still in the rookie scale contract. So he's still under control. Plus, you can, rig the cap so his cap hits won't be so much more in the future, even though you paying him a lot of money. So you have to give up a lot.
Yeah, and don't you can get his rookie extension, so you get 1 more year, still paying him like kind of ass, but still kind of decent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We shall see. We shall see. Next up, going from top to bottom with the Dallas Cowboys, them boys, cowgirls, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, season started off rough, moving off of Micah at the time. A lot of people, one side of the fence or the other. You should have capped him, should have paid him. Other side of the fence is, hey, one player shouldn't get paid $47 million. Hey, whatever you think, that's on you. But what we do know is the Cowboys did not make the playoffs in the first year under Brian Schottenheimer. Looked promising even after post-trade deadline when they trade for Quinnen Williams, but still wasn't enough firepower on both sides of the ball. So how are we going to grade their season? Starting with you, Jacob, how would you grade the Cowboys season, and what do they need to do for the remainder of the offseason to be able to compete with the Eagles?
I'm going to say C minus because it was so negative on defense and special teams wasn't great most of the time, minus Brandon Aubrey. But the offense was an A. I mean, Pickens was a huge addition. I think they traded a third for him, and he absolutely proved. I mean, I think he was like fourth in the league in receiving yards. He was the number one when CD was hurt. He was an absolute monster for him. Dak had a great year. Javonte Williams had a 1,000-yard year. He just got paid, re-signed there. Offense was not the issue there. Jake Ferguson had a bunch of touchdowns last year. Just the defense was horrendous. Like they could show that to prisoners to burn their eyes out. You could show that to young kids to scare them. Like the defense was so atrocious, and they gave up 511 points. 511 points. It was the most in the NFC, and it could easily be the most in the NFL. I think a lot to blame was the lack of talent, especially trading Parsons 2 weeks or a week before the season starts. Can't do anything good for morale and for team bonding, especially with a new first-year head coach. But all that being said, Matt Eberflus he did not do his job well. He was supposed to coordinate the defense, and that means stop the other team from gaining yards and scoring points. And he either didn't understand the assignment or just failed it as hard as anybody can fail anything. How he got another job, he's with the 49ers now, I couldn't tell you. But the Cowboys, if they could fix up their defense, I mean, there's enough firepower on offense. They could win 10 games. Obviously, we know this isn't a team that's probably built to win deep in the playoffs, but if their defense can be top 20, if they have the 18th best defense next year, they'll be a playoff team. So it's pretty obvious they have 2 first-round picks. I hope they spend both on defense because that's clearly what they need, and run it back with the same O-line and the same weapons. Pickens on a franchise tag this year, so probably going to lose him next year. I would go all in if I was Jerry, but it's Jerry, so you never know what's going to happen.
This is true. Lawrence, how would you grade the Cowboys season, and what moves do you expect for them to make to compete with the Eagles?
I would say I would kind of give their season a C because wasn't it by week 14 or 15 they kind of were already eliminated from the playoffs in kind of a more, I wouldn't say a weaker division, but Giants are pretty bad. Commanders are pretty bad because they didn't have anybody, and your only threat was the Eagles, and you didn't have a harder schedule from the year before, but some games were lost, some games were won based on the defense not being able to compete. I mean, Dak Prescott was getting MVP thoughts literally at some point too, because he could put up so many points just to keep them in the game, just to have a chance. A whimsical thought, but I kind of think they like Jacob said, they need to lean on the fact that they have it for right now is a solid wide receiving group. I think it's Tolbert is gone. I don't remember where he signed, but they kind of lost him. But that's not a weapon that's
Miami.
A crazy hard piece to fix. So you pair that piece, you got 2 first-round picks, you can go get yourself a great high-end talent, that's supposed to be one of those top of the line, and use. I wouldn't say your time being piece, but if you do believe that you're going to move off Pickens because you don't want to pay him that money, but you might want to because he did really look really, really good. You have that option, and then you still don't have to pay the other guy for a little bit because he's a rookie deal. So then you just give Dak all the weapons, and it kind of just poses the question for Jerry at that point is, did you make a mistake on your quarterback? Because I gave you all the weapons in the world. This year, I'm going to have to go all picks in to try to fix that defense, But he's got to give he can't let Dak's future be called into question while trying to fix his defense, I would say.
Yeah, I'll be hard pressed to see what Jerry does. He has to make a decision on Pickens. They already franchise tag him, but do they actually make a concerted effort to give him a fair extension that he deserves? Probably not. And the way you're speaking, Lawrence, you have 2 first-round picks, might as well use one of them on one of the top 3, top 4 receivers in the draft. If the Cowboys know how to do anything, it's how to draft receivers. They've been pretty damn good at it. So I think they can probably nail that pick and have someone on a controllable rookie scale contract. And they love to pay their own guys too. So I'd be hard pressed to see Jerry paying extension money to Pickens. But yeah, if they just had an average defense, they'd be more competitive. One of the worst defenses in the NFL, especially like you said, Jacob. Excuse me. In terms of giving up points, passing yards, rushing yards, is all across the board just bad. So I'd be interested to see what Jerry has up his sleeve moving forward. But next up, we have the Commanders, a team that 2 years ago was in the NFC Championship game, playing against the division rival Eagles, who would later go on to be the Super Bowl champs. So rookie sensation Jaden Daniels, we had a lot of high hopes for him. Some people had him already as a top 5, top 6 quarterback. People were talking crazy. Commanders fans were coming out of the woodwork. People I didn't even know Commander fans were coming out as Commanders fans, and they had a lot to say for that impressive season. But a little bit of coming back down to earth moment. I didn't foresee them being this bad. I definitely saw a decline happening, but they definitely had a very down year. So I'll start off with you first, Lawrence. How would you grade the Commanders season, and where do they go from here? How do they get back to that same team 2 years ago?
I'd give them a C because you did what you had to do. You got yourself, you secured yourself an easier schedule going into the next season. We did say that last year we thought they were one piece too early, and we're given a much tougher schedule for being one piece too early. Now they're given a little bit an easier of a schedule. Thinking about the other third place teams they would have to go against. I think now that you're given a little bit easier of a schedule, what pieces can we now put in place to make a run with a team that we think should be a lot more developed going into this year and years compared to years past? It's not like it's like one piece away. Last year we thought they were going to have a chance with the pieces they made, and most of those are coming back. It's not like a lot of them are leaving, and some of the I would say curses that they had are now gone, and they might have a few on hand still, but for the most part, there seems like there's a recipe in the works.
Yeah, we shall see what else. I think I love the moves they made so far, but I still think there's a lot of room for improvement. Jacob, what would you say about the Commanders season last year? And as far as moves, what more moves they have to make to get back to being competitive?
Yeah, I wish I was around for when we were doing the previews, because you hate to just kind of hop on here and say I was right when I said this thing a long time ago, but I kind of smelled out their regression, just because they had the oldest roster in the league when they went on their Cinderella run all the way to the championship game. Obviously, rookie sensation Daniels was amazing his rookie year, probably going to be amazing for a long time. So a lot of people had those high expectations, just kind of like we will with the Bears, with Caleb, how he did last year. So with heightened expectations and an old roster comes negative results, usually most of the time. I'm looking at the 2020 Washington Nationals for that specifically. But for the Commanders' sake, they still have pieces. They got to get healthy because they were the oldest team. They ran into a lot of injuries. Obviously, Terry McLaurin was hurt. Jaden was hurt a lot. So they got to clean it up, and they just need to address their defense. Dan Quinn has never had bad defenses, and even when they went on their Cinderella run, their defense wasn't their strong suit. They were an opportunistic defense. They weren't a dominant defense. So I would expect them to kind of be in that range for Downs, for Caleb Downs in the draft. They need a ball hawk. They need a guy that can kind of anchor that defense, because you do have faith that Jaden and the boys are going to be able to get points on the board, just because Debo's there another year. Terry's there still. So it does look like they actually, is Debo there? I thought Debo was a free agent. I haven't heard anything about that. Debo may or may not be there, but you still trust that they'll be able to score points, but got to fix the issues on defense. And they're going to have a top 10 pick. I think they're 7th overall. So if they hit that and add in another premium player, that's going to help them going forward.
Yeah, they're pick 7, so they got a lot of options there. Kind of been saying it for the past couple of weeks. All the mock drafts I've been seeing, they're leaning offense. So anywhere from Carnell Tate to Jeremiah Love to even offensive linemen. So I think they're going to lean offense with that. They signed a lot of defensive players, Nick Cross, Chanel, former chief linebacker. So they're making moves on the defensive side, which, hey, they need help on the defense in terms of giving up points. They were up there, passing yards, total yards. They were one of the worst defenses. So that's not a good look for Dan Quinn, defensive-minded head coach. Having one of the worst defenses in the league definitely isn't going to help you get extend your tenure in Washington. So, yeah, we all talked about it. They were a year too early. Me and Lawrence talked about in the previews how, it's going to be a little regression. We didn't see this much, but you're right, Jacob. When you have older roster and you're kind of going for it a year too early, just doesn't pan out most of the time. So I wish they would have, been more conservative. They made the trade for Lattimore. Lattimore is no longer on the team. They made the trade for Debo. Debo's not on the team, right? Like, I get kind of building off the success of Jaden Daniels season 1, but mortgaging your future when you still needed stuff, when you still needed pieces and younger pieces, and not the strategy of old proven vets. Yeah, I will fault them for that. So I like how they've been moving so far, signing younger, more established players, still proven. So we shall see how this formula turns out for them. But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask, do you think they should be charged for manslaughter for what they did to Zach Ertz in his final season, in his final run, making him the guinea pig to catch every single ball possible because there was nobody else?
Yeah, not the best or not the biggest fan of that. Kind of destroyed his NFL career. I don't know if he's going to sign with somebody else.
I think he said he was done.
Yeah, his knee bent in a way I'd not seen a knee bend before. It was pretty ugly.
Yeah, not a fan of that, but hopefully he recovers.
R.I.P. Joe Theismann.
Hopefully he recovers soon, and he'll be a normal man after that. But last but not least, we got the Giants. Only thing positive about the Giants is I think they found their quarterback of the future. Brian Daboll is gone. I think isn't the GM gone too?
I think it's
actually still there.
He's still there, right?
Yeah, as the former Bills assistant GM. I'm pretty sure he kept his job, but they fired their coach.
Fired Daboll, brought in Harbaugh. Harbaugh doesn't report to GM, reports straight to ownership. So a little bit of a conflicting situation there. But in terms of signing, I think it's the right coach to get the Giants back on track. How soon he'll get them back on track, who knows? We have the same kind of pipeline, Baltimore to New York. He took some guys with him, Isaiah likely being one of them. So I'll start with you first on this one, Lawrence. How would you grade the Giants season? And in terms of Harbaugh, like how can he turn this team around and get them to be competitive again?
I think the first wave is keep games low scoring, which Harbaugh's pretty decent at keeping games low scoring. He's always had pretty good defenses, definitely had good special teams over the years. So win the battles you can win with a younger quarterback. Going to the next season, have your defense ready. He's getting his tight end. He brought his tight end. He paid another tight end a lot of money that's kind of older and got the younger guy to make sure he was ready to move when he was ready to move. So Jackson Dart's going to go in there technically with two good weapons because I wouldn't sleep on Theo Johnson. That man's pretty good. And then you guys, Manhurts to do basically blocking purposes. So you're strapped up all in those positions. Malik Neighbors is an awesome weapon to have as long as you can keep him healthy, which, what happened this year is definitely not going to happen again next year. So right on, knock on wood, and I'm doing that right now. I don't want to hurt no guy's career. But yeah, you got to utilize that defense to make sure games are not, I wouldn't say out of reach, but to make sure games are close. And that way that your your sophomore year quarterback is taking the field each time, not thinking, damn, I got to go make a play. Like, damn, I got to go make a play. Like, no, man, I want you to go out there and play football and not have to be thinking about, damn, how I got to make a play.
Yeah, we'll see how Jackson Dart looks his second year. I know a lot of criticisms are him not sliding. He is very much seeking contact, even though he's a smaller frame quarterback, which could be a little bit dangerous. Might end his career a little bit earlier than probably need to be. So, Jacob, what do you think about the Giants' season last year, and in terms of how can they return to being competitive under new head coach John Harbaugh?
I'm going to piggyback off of Lawrence's point. It's so true because he played like he was a rookie trying to like prove that he belonged there. And it's like, I get that. That's fine. But like after his third game, everybody knew that he was a guy. Everybody knew that he belonged there. I feel like he was either kept trying to prove it to himself or his teammates or the fan. Like, I don't know what it was, but he kind of played like he had a point to prove every single time. He literally reminded me a lot of young Josh Allen in the sense that if this dude just matures and just pick your spots. I mean, Josh Allen used to do the same sort of thing where he just take unnecessary contact. He still does once in a while, but it's like it's the unnecessary contact. Football's tough, man. They're the big dudes running full speed at you, trying to hurt you. So like getting out of bounds, sliding, being smart and meticulous about it, and kind of just growing and maturing as a quarterback. I think Jackson Dart's going to be a star if he's able to do that and stay healthy. Obviously. As for this division, as for these four teams, I can honestly say the Giants are the most excited I am. Team I'm excited to see next year. Harbaugh has a strong reputation of being a great coach. The Giants have a strong reputation of being asked for a long time, and something's got to give, right? So
something has to give.
Hopefully Neighbors is back healthy. I could see them taking a weapon too early, or they could just beef up the O-line, which would also be a really smart gamble with the aforementioned Dart's health.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot of pieces, a lot of Ravens guys coming over. I'm just interested to see how Harbaugh can kind of change that culture, and they're in a really good spot because if the Giants go out there and they win 8 games next year, you can still look at it and be as a 4-win improvement. So they don't have to win the Super Bowl next year. They don't have to be in the playoffs next year. But as long as we see a different New York Giants that like actually look like they know how to play football and are our team and like have a culture starting to build, that'll be really interesting to kind of keep track of because then that would go right into the credit of Harbaugh. Or if that didn't happen, then we'd be like, man, was Harbaugh actually ever a really good coach? Because he had a lot of good players in Baltimore. So I'm excited to see that one because that was definitely a huge talking point in the offseason was them getting the big fish in Harbaugh. So they made a lot of moves, had a lot of money, got some premium picks, and I'm excited to see it. Brian Burns was second in the league in sacks last year. I think he had 17. So they got good players up and down the roster on both sides of the ball. They just have to find a coach that can make them all gel and figure it out.
Yeah, they definitely are in the mode of accumulating talent. So I'd be interested to see who they pick with the number 1 pick. I've seen a lot of different directions. Like you said, Jacob, a wide receiver is possible if you want to have a nice 1-2 punch with Neighbors. Neighbors coming back off his ACL tear. We don't know if he's going to be available week 1, but I assume so. So giving him a running mate might be the best move, especially with Waddle, heading and leaving town. So I've seen that happen on drafts. I've seen them taking Caleb Downs, taking D linemen, Sonny Styles. Like they have a lot of possibilities. I'm pretty intrigued to see I think they picked 5, right? So I'd be pretty intrigued to see who they take with that first round pick. But they still a year or 2 away unless Jackson Dart has some revelation that he's, plays like a top 10 quarterback next year, which may or may not happen. So I'd be interested to see the Giants take a leap and actually not be asked next year. I think that's a very achievable goal for them, especially with a great head coach coming into town. But that's the NFC in a nutshell, guys. Any final thoughts about the NFC East? This division is always interesting, to say the least. I feel like there's always some crazy storyline with one of these teams.
Pretty sure the Eagles are the first team in I think like 20 years in this division to win it back-to-back years because this is the division that had a new winner every single time. So I bet that changes. No offense to the Eagles, but unless they figure their shit out, the Cowboys or the Commanders or hell, even the Giants, they're all coming for your ass.
Lawrence, final thoughts?
Honestly, I agree with Jake. There's going to be a new winner in it, but I think with the changes that the Eagles are going to be going through recent, just because of their success and the players they have gathered, I kind of believe they might. I wouldn't say be on a decline, but they're not going to be at the heavyweight that they once are, which should be allowed to some seeds to sprout. And I kind of think the Commanders are going to make some noise. Just a gut feeling because that 1 year off or that 1 year early to now being able to set it straight honestly add younger players to their older players to round it all out.
We shall see. We shall see. Anything else we need to cover? One thing I did want to add: WNBA and WNBA Player Association finally came to a new CBA agreement. So I think the ladies are gonna be able to share. I think 20% of the league revenue share. Supermax contracts are now I believe starting at $1.4 million. So I think the original proposal was just $1 million. So they made some gains there. I think the average salary is going to be $600K, and the league minimum now is $300K. So shout out to the ladies for getting paid. I mean, that's huge for them. Probably not as much as I've seen. They wanted the minimums to be $1 million or something. I could be wrong on that, but I think they definitely wanted a lot, and I still feel like they got a lot. But they definitely deserve it. And already they're talking about Asia Wilson being signing for the Supermax as soon as I think that's allowed. So she'll be the first one to get Supermax, and she definitely deserves it. Any thoughts there?
Hell yeah. No, good for them. That's awesome that they won. I'm sure they wanted more, but again, they signed a deal, so I'm pretty sure they're happy about it, which good for them. Like you said, they deserve it.
I don't want to sound ignorant because I don't know, but how is this going to affect their salary caps and everything? Because are they now going to have to develop a salary cap in order to maintain their rosters from being a certain I would say beefiness versus others? Because I would say in a league that is only how many teams is it? It's 8 and 8 on each side, 16 teams. Is it that many? I don't even know if it's that many. But there's gonna be oversaturation of talent on each team, so you're gonna have to limit what you can pay each person on each team in order to make it under a certain cap. So then, Wilson does get the max. Now what happens to all her running mates at the Aces?
Yeah, I'll be interested to see. I know they're expanding into Golden State and somewhere else, right? I think they have 2 expansion teams coming up. So I'd be interested to see if they, maybe we'll say more next week, but I think they will have a salary cap, and they have expansion signed lined up very soon. So I'd be interested to see how this actually works once we get more details. But shout out to the ladies. Anything you want to add, Jacob? Any other news we got to cover before we head out?
Shout out Venezuela baseball. Big upset last night. Venezuelans upset the Americans. Honestly, as they celebrated, I was extremely happy for them. Extremely happy for their fans. And it even kind of dawned on me that it definitely it means a lot more to them than it probably would most Americans. So shout out to Venezuela. I'm a gracious loser. Shout out Canada for that. Yes, us Americans, grateful losers. Congratulations, Venezuela. They are the champions.
Lawrence, anything else before we head out?
Well, I'm currently about to put on the Celtics game because Luka Garza is having himself a little bit of an appearance. So old Iowa playing in the league, you don't really see it. Actually, you never see it outside of Keegan Murray. So cool to see. I mean, honestly, can't wait till the next show. Let's get it going. We got some more teams to discover. We got some March Madness to be watching.
Yeah, March Madness.
Shout out March Madness. Here we go. Tomorrow at noon.
Tomorrow noon. Everyone make sure you make your brackets. Get that out there. Next weekend next episode we will, I guess, review the first 2 rounds and then get ready for the Sweet 16.
Yup.
So until then, guys, thank you guys for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, all that good stuff. Episode 226, Sideline Brief Podcast. And we're going to head on out. Peace.
Peace out.